Kaisho eta anai etoria to two mats. Snack in conversation. My name is Matthew Hector.
And I'm Matthew Gallant.
This is episode 12.
But first, if you don't already know, this podcast is based on the premise that we talk absolute crap, or kakpraat in Afrikaans, which is one of the 11 South African official languages.
Go follow us on Instagram. It's at two mats stuck in conversation.
Also, go check out our last podcast where we had our first set of guests on. We spoke a bit about racism in South Africa.
Now available on YouTube as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well.
Okay, let's get this podcast going.
1, 2, 3. Dun dun! Wow.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start with the lockdown recap. So in South Africa, there are currently 276,000 cases. We have 135,000 recovered and 4,079 deaths. This is like a massive increase from the last time we had those podcasts.
Speaking about COVID-19, can I just remind to everyone who's listening on COVID-19 policies, preventative policies, because we've forgotten about forget masks, forget social distancing. Let's gather at Sea Point Promenade. Like, I don't know what's happening.
Let's go out, have supper, be in Camps Bay. Let's go on massive hikes and all the things.
You're atting people.
I am atting people.
Yeah, I know you. I know. The people that go to these places. People. I know you're atting. We are at the I know somebody with it stage now. I actually know a number of people with it. What about you?
I also know. Last week, we got news that I know for some family friends, one of them actually passed away, and it was his funeral yesterday, which is kind of sad. They live streamed on Facebook. They live streamed on Facebook, which is kind of cool, about how technology still allowed like the funeral to happen, which is really cool. But we know some family friends who have it now, and it's getting scary. It's getting really scary now.
Well, yeah, I've been scared shitless since January when I first heard about it. I was actually when I was at Pride, I was scared then already because I knew it was coming. But that's a random anecdote. I know we have a whole household in our family, extended family, that has it. Last time I checked, they are still fine. My grandmother's nephew passed away for what they claim is heart related, but it could still be COVID-19 related. And there are so many colleagues that my parents have that have it as well.
Hey, China is talking about cases of bubonic plague.
I've heard about this.
What's going on in China?
We're gonna die, is what's gonna happen. Don't you think? All of us?
We're all gonna die.
Technically speaking.
Philosophically, we are all going to die. And as a fact of life. What you listening to? What kind of music are you listening to right now?
I have been letting Apple decide what I listen to. I'm using my, what do they call it? Personalized station. And I'll chat a bit more about that later on when we get to the tech segment. But I've been using the personalized station, which you can do right now. You can just ask Siri to play me my personalized station, and I'm actually really impressed because I'm actually a very picky person when it comes to music.
Yeah, we know.
And I've been getting very good recommendations, and it's almost like it knows that I don't like lyrics so much, and it's recommending like actual good chord progressions and good music. I'm impressed.
I too use my personalized radio station from time to time, but I don't even use the Get Up mix. There's the Get Up mix,
that's
which is like
recommended to me.
The playlist.
Yeah.
And at first it sucked, but now it's like giving me quality stuff, and I'm like, this is pretty great. I'm slowly moving out of my sad music phase and going back to like upbeat alternative, and the Get Up Now mix is like doing quality work. My song of the week is actually a joke, which is the song called "Kill the Director" by the Wombats, which is like just this British song where this guy is being super teen angsty because the song came out in 2007, and it's just a lot of fun to listen to.
Always an interesting case with you and your music. What about your movies and series? What are you watching?
Dude, we haven't spoken in a while, so I have a lot to unpack.
It's been a hot
Okay,
minute.
okay. I'll start with what I'm binging. Right, Big Bang Theory. I didn't watch the half of season 10 all the way to season 12, so I haven't seen it, and I've been binging it for the last I'm gonna say like a week and a half, and I'm almost done with season 12, and it's kind of nice to see things wrap up. Don't give spoilers. I don't know anything yet, but it's pretty satisfying.
I thought you watched it. I was going to give spoilers, but I heard
No,
that
no,
they were doing they're going to do a bit of a reunion thing. Um, can I tell you something about the ending?
no, nothing at all.
The
I want nothing.
quality of the ending.
No, no, I want nothing. I want to go in blind.
All I'm going to say is
Don't say anything.
there's
Don't say anything. Shh. Okay, moving on to movies. I've also I've also been watching The Umbrella Academy on Netflix as well, which is really great. Season 2 comes out the 31st of July, and everyone should go see Umbrella Academy. It's just really great. It's about like this family of superheroes, but not like the X-Men, but sort of like the X-Men.
I saw the trailer. Looks quite interesting.
It's like it's X-Men meets Titans. It's just dark but funny, and the magic system is really interesting.
I think it was recommended to me because they have a resident LGBT character, do they not?
I think they do. Yeah, they do. You always getting LGBT quality content right there.
Yeah.
I watched Inception. Now let's talk about Inception for a
The
second.
2010
right?
blockbuster film.
Blockbuster film. I watched it last when I was 10 years old. So 2011 was probably the last time I watched it, right? It came out in 2010. And between 2011 and now, my understanding of films and my respect for films has like it's grown a little bit, But Inception blew me away. Like I can actually fully appreciate it now. What Nolan did in that film. Everyone should rewatch it. It does so many original things, and there's so many special effects in that film that influences other films. Like I don't think you get Doctor Strange without the scene where they bend the city. And it's like really Doctor Strange-esque and whatever. But it's pretty dope. And Inception's getting a re-release next month. Or at the end of
So
this
what
month.
what does that entail? The re-release. What does that mean?
So it's the 10-year anniversary of Inception, right? Obviously, it's 2020. Yeah, it came out in 2010. And so, Nolan has a new film coming out. Christopher Nolan. He has a film called Tenet, which is coming out in August. And accompanying Tenet will be Inception. So it will be like a back-to-back kind of thing, supposedly, at some theaters. And it's something you'll just be able to watch.
So
a remastered version of
okay.
Inception.
I would, if that is going to happen, I'd highly recommend that you go watch it. If you maintain your distance and wear your mask and sanitize and whatnot. Otherwise, get a good copy of it. I'm not telling you how to get it. Or
it's on Netflix.
Get it on Netflix. And
it's on Netflix.
Find the biggest, clearest TV in your house with the best surround sound system you can get. Because it just adds to the quality of the movie. That movie specifically. Yeah. The soundtracks. I actually listen to those soundtracks. Yes, the sound. Oh my word! Don't get me started.
The soundtrack. Okay, I've been staying with Inception soundtrack for 3 years, but I haven't seen the film in 3 years. It's just a weird thought to me. But the music is honestly some of the best I've ever heard in a movie, and the sound design, like how they use different sounds and when they use music and the imagery, it's quality filmmaking.
100% agree with you.
And the amount of exposition they have to give us just so we understand what's going on. It's given in a way that's really easy to follow, but this concept's actually quite complex for a film. You know, you expect this kind of complexities in a series or a book or comic book that has more time to explain what's going on. You know,
Yeah.
so
Um,
massive respect for the film.
and then you want to talk about Rick and Morty.
I'm s- I I'm back to watching Rick and Morty. The last 5 episodes came out a while ago,
Yeah, I watched them.
but what I do is I watch one a week because Rick and Morty content is so
Ray.
great. It's so rare and so great,
I
and I
agree
want
with
to
you.
savor it.
I
I want to
did I did
savor
a
it
bad
for as
thing
long as
and I
possible.
binged it because I wasn't planning on watching a series and it was like 1 in the morning and I saw it and then I couldn't stop and then before I knew it I
Oh
was done.
no,
It's like a
dude! The
drug
thing is,
addiction.
it's because they're 20 minutes long, right?
Yeah.
It's just easy to digest, and that makes it worse because it's like I have to savor these 20 minutes per episode. And Rick and Morty, it's original and it's funny, and you don't see content like it.
One
Um,
it's unlike anything else and the comedy is you really have to be paying attention and it's such high quality content.
it's raw and unfiltered, and it's
I
just
love when
it
they
just
directly attack the audience, which is great.
yeah, and they just swear and they just don't care. The only other show that doesn't care as much as Rick and Morty is a show called DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and I think everyone should watch Legends of Tomorrow because they just don't care. You know, they'll just do whatever they want story wise, and it still works out well.
That's interesting.
So
DC's
that's
Legends
my
of Tomorrow.
movies and series.
I saw a trailer today, probably for an old movie. It's on DSTV box office, so it must not be that recent. It's Jumanji something. It's a new one.
I watched that
It looks very
with our friend
interesting.
Kate in the movies.
Once again, another movie that I wasn't invited to. Thank you so much.
I'm pretty sure I invited you, but you were working, and I'm pretty sure we came to visit you at
Oh
your work that
yes.
day.
Excuses conveniently. Right.
We went for ice cream afterwards. Sure,
Yeah.
you didn't come with that either.
Now,
So
Instagram.
yes,
Do you like it?
I quit it for a week.
Why?
I was getting kind of sick of just okay. It was a twofold thing. I thought I'd quit Instagram because it would interfere with my work. That's what I always thought. The reason I would like stop using Instagram, right, was because like I'd be wasting too much time with it. But that wasn't my problem. My problem was I was just taking in memes and I was just taking in content, and none of it felt like significant to me, right? So when I quit Instagram for a week, it wasn't to like work more. It was just I wanted to consume content that was of more value. Um, and my week of Instagram proved that a lot of the content I consume on Instagram is of no value. So I've decided to pick up Reddit, and I've decided to
Welcome,
pick up
fellow
more
Redditor.
YouTube.
Redditor is quite addictive.
Now, yeah, it is quite good. You have to like, but I'm following subreddits that I think will add value, and they're talking about things I'm interested in. And I do the same thing for YouTube. Like obviously, I watch YouTube videos that actually I'm interested in, and I think that will give me um information. Let me explain how I deal with my entertainment. I use like Showmax and Netflix to give me like my movie or like escapism like entertainment, and then I use YouTube and Reddit to give me like information on topics I like. So it's basically education, but in a more fun way.
I hear you. I hear you.
So I want to like a watch.
YouTube has a brilliant way of making virtually anything entertaining. Um, that being said, I hear you with the Instagram thing. Just to backtrack a bit, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I did go on a social media hiatus. I'm still partially on it. Like
You go on one all the time.
no, that's what I mean. I'm still partially on it because I haven't opened your DM field chat thing. In
I haven't sent you a DM in weeks.
yeah, they still unread from the last time. And that goes for virtually everyone else. Except my friend Jody, because she doesn't just send memes, she says, you or me, and I have to see what it is in that case because, you know,
It's very aggressive. I
yeah.
get that content too. Not the same one you get, but like the you and the me.
Yeah. Yeah. Shall we move on?
Yeah, let's move to my interesting learning. So it's not medicine related this week. My glance interesting learnings.
This is always nerve-wracking for me. So, what are we talking about now?
We're talking about exercise, everyone's favorite thing.
Something I know a little bit about. Good, let's go.
But so of recent, I've become a little bit interested in exercise, mainly because I kind of study while I exercise. Because I just have a better understanding of the body, so it makes me appreciate exercise more. Like I understand how the muscles work and all those kinds of things. Moving on, I've been thinking about how I train. So right now I run, and then I do like body weight exercises. But of recent, I'm not getting the kind of results I want, and I'm not feeling the same level of exhaustion that I want to feel from my bodyweight exercises.
Like you
so
do.
I've been researching into lifting, but also the benefits of bodyweight exercises versus lifting weights. Do you know of any?
I guess it's just a better idea to lift your own weight than to overpower yourself. I don't know.
Yeah, so there's something along that lines, right? And so apparently there's a lot of benefits for bodyweight exercises. So for someone like me who's running a lot, bodyweight exercises help a lot because the biggest benefit is that you get better like spatial awareness and better agility and better body movement through doing body weight exercise, right? Because obviously you have to learn how to move your muscle groups together and, with form and timing and all that kind of things. So you'll find that you just run better. Like I think in the last 2 months, my running speed has increased more than the 4 months prior to lockdown, for example, right? I think that's in part due to bodyweight exercises. But lifting weights is great to get that, that Instagram body. Because lifting weights targets individual muscles and it leads to greater muscle growth and size increases, but it doesn't necessarily mean increased strength, which is also an interesting thing because there's there's difference between strength, endurance, and muscle size. Just because your muscles are big doesn't mean you have endurance. It doesn't also mean you have more strength than someone whose muscle is smaller, so on and so forth. But yeah, I've become a little bit interested in whether or not I should be lifting now, or I should continue doing bodyweight exercises, or whether I should combine the two.
Well, we were speaking about my workouts earlier on, and I mainly do body weight exercises. I don't really do much lifting, and when I do lift, like I said, I only do 5 kilograms per arm, and it's not a lot. It doesn't feel like it's putting any strain on me, so I feel good, you know.
That's really great. Another thing I also become really fascinated by, this year in second year medicine you study muscles, right? Like I said earlier.
Didn't you already do this?
Yes, but since I've been studying muscles, right, since February, I've taken a greater interest and appreciation for athletes and sportsmen, and I've also been
when you told my father about his calves, that was hilarious.
Yeah, dude, your dad's calves are impressive. Let's not lie about this.
You were so taken aback.
It was really weird, but I was just like, damn. It's like you can kick a rugby ball far with those. Like you could someone with those. I have to bleep that.
I'm not timestamping. I didn't say anything. Wow, the tables. How the turntables, as Michael Scott would say.
I can't actually figure out how to type this.
It's 23. So anyway, moving on. I got it.
Okay. So I've been interested, and I've taken a lot of interest in 3 things: gymnastics, like gymnasts, sprinters, and marathon runners. Now, first of all, gymnasts. Do you know how insane it is to do flippy things in the air? I get so amazed by it when you get these very tiny ladies, they're 1.5 meters, going around and just using the complete body weight to do flip after flip after flip and get massive like height gains. It's pretty amazing,
I've seen
right?
it. Yeah, it's
And yeah,
scary. It looks scary because if you land wrong,
and
you could kill yourself.
exactly. And you look at these gymnasts and you're like, you're not strong. You're not like super bolt. But then you look at what they're doing and then you're like, oh my gosh, like the amount of power and the amount of force they're getting to like get that momentum. It's really amazing. And the technique has to be flawless so that they don't waste energy as they move from one flip to the other flip to the other flip, right? And gymnasts are a perfect example of body weight exercises. Most gymnasts just do body weight exercises, body weight, body weight, body weight. And you can see the benefits is that they've like this amazing ability to move their body, and to generate force and greater ability to control their body. And then the other thing I've been interested in is sprinters and marathon runners, because they have completely different body types. Right?
I'd imagine. Yeah.
Uh, Sprinters, if you look at someone like Usain Bolt, he's tall, he's ripped. Like the man actually has muscles and like deltoids. Like he's pretty like well built. And then you look at someone like Uliet Kipchoge, who is the marathon king, and he's super scrawny and looks like he has zero fat, and he looks super tiny. For comparison,
Can I take a
Kipchoge,
guess as to why that is? I mean,
yes, but go for it.
so I imagine Usain Bolt is muscular because he can use that strength, which would transfer into force, which would make him accelerate harder, go faster. I'm guessing, and um, the other guy, he doesn't have any weight from the muscle or the fat, and he's fit, so he has more endurance ability. I'm guessing.
So yeah, you're exactly right. It's a matter of like, so when you're looking at locomotion, right? Like how the body actually runs.
Yeah.
Your arms are actually vitally important.
Okay, but
I know myself and many other runners who tend to like downplay the importance of building your arms and your chest, right? But if you're trying to get those speed gains like sprinting or not, then the weight of your arms matters. So sprinters will pack on these really massive upper bodies because it helps them run faster, and because they're not running for 15, 21, or 42 k's, the extra muscle weight doesn't matter, right? So that's why they are super like bolt. But someone like Kipchoge who's running 42 k's, extra muscle, will be like bad because it makes you slower. Like it's just more weight to carry. But then the other thing is now that the question is Bolt stronger than Kipchoge, right? Or does Bolt have more muscle than Kipchoge? And the answer to that is kind of yes and kind of no. Which is an interesting thing.
Are you not going to explain that?
Do you want me to explain the types of muscle fibers?
Never mind. Moving swiftly on.
Exactly. I'm like I was thinking about whether or not I should,
No.
but like
So the next point
yeah.
in your power is
What am I doing? Oh,
this one.
my niece went
This
to the
episode
doctor.
is not in order. Yeah.
My niece went to the doctor and she got some medication, and she sent me an image of the medication, and I felt this immense sense of like pride when I knew what the medication was by its like drug name.
Sure.
Um, that was like, oh my gosh, the studies actually mean something. I've been studying for hours and I can actually say I know what this drug does to your body. It is a really cool moment.
What do they call that?
Pharmacology.
Yeah. So you studied that already, right?
Yeah. It's actually really interesting how drugs interact with your body. I actually think pharmacology is one of my favorite disciplines that we do. We do 13 disciplines. We study 13 disciplines in second year.
I didn't know you did
Pharmacology is one of
karate.
them. Yeah.
I'm, happy for you, I guess. Weird flicks, but alas. Moving on.
Do you want to talk about WWDC now?
Do I want to? That is indeed the question. What do you want to?
I know you've been waiting to
it's
fanboy
kind of
over.
old news now. The event was on the 22nd of June. I spoke about it in the beginning of the last episode. And basically it's an event that developers, journalists, maybe even prospective customers go to see the latest software and sometimes some hardware. They can test out the software and the hardware live in person. But obviously this year, COVID-19 can't have that event, so they did an online version. That's what WWDC is. Now, what they announced is a bit controversial because the next updates for the iPads and the iPhones and the Mac, not so much the Macs, let's focus on the iPhone, to be honest, iOS 14. I have a question for you, by the way.
Yeah.
Who do you think first put widgets in their device?
For
Or,
are we talking about mobile OSs?
in their operating system across the operating
Or-
since the modern computer as we know it has
I
existed.
I wanna say Android, but I feel like Windows might have done it as well.
Try Macintosh 1984. They were the first to use widgets ever.
Were they? What was the widget?
It's a little Windows 7.
Yeah.
Picture all those widgets in black and white. That's it.
Oh wow.
They
I
were
did not know that.
way ahead of the game. So actually, who invented the widget? Apple didn't invent it, but they were first to use it. Point
You
is,
know, we invented rectangles with rounded corners.
also Apple.
Apple.
And the copy paste cut commands and stuff.
And fonts.
And fonts. That's thanks to Steve
And
Jobs sitting in a what was it? A lecture about
calligraphy.
Yeah, calligraphy. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Interesting. A lot about how you use your computer comes from Apple computers, so don't be so hateful, fanboys. Point is, iOS 14 iOS has had widgets since iOS 9, but they've been in line and on a separate page, and you couldn't move them away from that page. Now you can move them on your home screen, and it kind of looks like the way Android does widgets. And they went crazy about that. I've been using iOS 14, the beta. For those of you who don't know,
What's it like?
a beta is a version of software that's still being tested for bugs. Bugs are things that when it doesn't work properly or it gives issues, whatnot, it's so reliable. I haven't had any issues, like at all. Nothing has
That's
gone wrong.
brilliant.
Point
I
is,
have not put the beta on my phone because I don't like putting betas on my main machines.
well, I was thinking I'm not going to do that, but then I remembered I downloaded the iOS 10, 11, 12, and 13 betas on my phone, and I've never had any issues. So I thought,
Okay, that's a lie. I've been with you where your camera
no.
has
What
crashed
I
and
mean
things have
by
happened.
that is I haven't been in a situation where my phone was unusable.
Yeah, of course.
And if it means that my apps crash every now and then, I really don't care about that. I'd rather be able to test the features. I'm very impatient about these things.
I am very patient. Although I do want to get in, one of the biggest features, in my opinion, to come out of WWDC is that when you get a phone call, on your iPhone or your iPad, the phone call won't take up the whole screen,
It's been
and you'll still be
brilliant.
able to continue to do your things while the phone call happens in the
For the
background.
first time in my entire life, I want people to call me. I've never wanted that before. My point is, so I've been using it, and I actually don't think it doesn't remind me of Android. It reminds me of Windows Phone, that operating system I spoke about.
I also thought about Windows Phone when I saw it the first time. I'm like, the whole swiping between the stacks and the way it looks
Yeah,
reminded me a lot of Windows Phone. What I think was actually the biggest thing everyone thinks it. The biggest thing to come out of WWDC was Apple's move to have their own CPU chips
yeah.
in the MacBooks.
Because Intel's been holding everyone back.
For those who don't understand computer dynamics, Intel is this company who makes all the CPUs and GPUs right now for Apple, right?
And
And
not just
Apple,
Apple, virtually most Windows and Linux laptops.
yes, yes, almost all laptops will run an Intel CPU. But you see, there's a benefit. Like in iPads and in iPhones, Apple makes their own CPU, and because they make their own CPU and they make their own software, they're able to basically create this super fast, super powerful device through both the synergy between software and hardware. But that never happened on the Mac because they used Intel. But now they're going to use Apple chips, and we're going to see a massive increase in battery power and a massive increase in CPU speed all at the same time, just because Apple's going to be making their own chips.
And a decrease
Um,
in temperatures as well, which means it will
and a
run
decrease in temperatures.
cold. And they're testing it with the iPad chips, and the iPad chips are performing better than quite a lot of the Intel chips. And
Yes.
they're not even going to put those chips in the Macs. They're going to be using much more beefier things in the Mac. Can I tell you something that I think might make you sad?
What?
Watch OS will no longer have 3D touch.
I know.
It's dying
I've
off.
heard of
It's
this.
dying off, friend.
And it makes me kind of mad because I think when you use 3D touch on the iPhone, I admit there was sometimes a little bit of a delay, right? There was that little moment where the pressure sensitivity didn't exactly read. But on the watch, it works flawlessly, right? 3D touch is such an intuitive way of talking and interacting with your watch. I don't know why we're removing it, honestly, but
it just tells you what the next watch is not going to have.
it just starts with
But
the
if you
They're
like,
taking away features.
for those of you who don't know, 3D touch is like you apply force to the screen, kind of like you're pressing a button, and it makes it feel like a button by vibrating quickly or whatever. Funny thing is, cars are now getting a version of 3D touch in their radios. So you get yourself a car.
Interesting. And to get myself a car, I can unlock it with my iPhone now.
Yes.
Um,
Only BMWs though, so get yourself a BMW.
only a BMW, only a Beamer.
That's only for now. At that hurt because I'm a big Merc fan.
Yeah.
And let me not get into it. Anyway, normally we'd go into a uni update. Do you wanna talk about uni?
Yeah, we can talk about uni.
You can talk about uni. I would like to talk some utter good.
We can talk about uni quickly. You wanna lead us in with the
You start
intro?
us off.
No, you're gonna lead us in with the intro.
Oh.
1,
2, 3. Oof! Yeah, no, it's hectic, eh?
And that was actually pretty good.
Yes.
Today is the 13th of July. I think we said that.
Yeah. It's
myself
my
and
cousin's
Victor-
birthday, 21st. Happy
It's
birthday to him.
Happy birthday, Cole.
Yes.
Today is 13th of July, like I said, and we didn't mention the fact that we are 2 students at UCT. I am a second year medical student, and Hector
A
is
second year information systems student.
Yes. So we are learned individuals, and we think our studies qualify us to talk about things that aren't related to our studies, because that's just how we roll. But today I finally finished my semester. I finally finished semester 3. This has been the
Finally.
longest semester of my life. 6 months
Yeah.
of just constant work and a pandemic. A little bit of friendship drama here and there.
We're not going to talk
sad
about
boy
that.
Matthew. We're not going to talk about that. But this has been one hell of a ride.
Would you do it again? For $1 million rand?
No, let's not do it again. Let's not do it again. But today I spent 12 hours behind my laptop finishing a 38-page, 11,000 word document, reading docs.
When did you start it?
I started in February. I've been doing it for the last 4 months, and I finally handed it in. So that was kind of like satisfying.
When was it due? Today?
Today at 23:59.
Are you one of those kids that hand in early?
Oh wow! I actually handed in late compared to the rest of my class.
Yeah, but that's because you're all overachievers. All of you.
Yeah. And then last week was test week, and we had 2 tests. I got first in the one test because we got our marks back.
Well
so
done.
that's yay for me. Although some of the questions they asked in that paper TFS wasn't in our lecture slides. It looked Greek to me. And That was weird.
I was gonna make a comment
But yeah,
about Greeks, but I'll keep it
what
PC.
what do you want to know about Greeks?
Nothing. Moving on. Date a
Okay.
Greek, you know.
So yeah, uni is finally done. I don't know what we're gonna talk about in the next few weeks about uni, but
I know because you know what? What we don't talk about is what's happening in
what
our lives. We don't actually talk
what's
about that.
happening in our lives? We don't have anything going on in our lives. I'm actually gonna have to
Um,
study in this holiday.
why? I don't think you have
Be-
to. I think you're
I
choosing to.
have to because there's work I missed. There's so much work that I had to say like stop doing some of it so I could finish the others. You know what I mean? And I have to catch up with that work if I want to be like a fully well-rounded medical doctor.
You concern me sometimes. I hope you're
I'm
not
gonna
gonna
take
be
a week off.
working as hard, at least.
No. I'm gonna
Maybe
take a week off
a
this
few
week.
hours a day.
Yeah. So I've decided I'm gonna take a week off this week, and then next Monday I will start again, and I'll do like 4 hours a day or something, like just in the mornings, and then the afternoons are like I'll chill. So
Last
that's the
week,
plan.
my semester technically ended because my last exam was last week.
Aren't you cool?
Interesting exam setup because they are 28 hours, almost 30 hours. That's how long you have to do the exam. And there were two of them.
We had 6 days.
Um, so you guys properly cheated, right? Um,
No, we are honorable, medical
sure!
professionals.
You are lying. You are a liar. Anyway,
I am not a liar, but I cannot speak for the other members of my class.
I'm sure you didn't have to refer to your notes. You probably knew the answer. Um,
I didn't refer to my notes, let the record show that.
okay, sure. We'll talk afterwards. Um, last week at because it was the end of my semester, and last week was actually quite a difficult week for me. I had a tough week. My grandmother, I told you that she went to a funeral, her nephew, and she was in isolation. And we've got a strange setup in the house. I stay with my grandmother, who stays next door to my parents. I may have mentioned this before. But because she was in isolation, I had to lock myself into my room and leave outside the back of my room and go through my parents' house to do everything. And then because my grandmother wasn't there to like help around the house, everybody was very stressed. Point is, last week was a very hectic week for me, so I took the week off and whatnot from working out. This week I started
Well,
working
I
out
mean, you
again.
got the walking distance in.
Not really, because
No?
I wasn't wearing my watch. This week I'm starting my
Oh,
workouts again,
stupid.
which means I might catch you on the bike. I think it's finally time.
Are you ready? I'm gonna do a 15 this week. A
Overachievers,
15K.
overachievers.
I'm probably gonna do like
15K.
this week I'm supposed to do like 42Ks of mileage. So I'm probably gonna do two 10Ks, the 15, and then I'll fit something else in.
I have a random
The
question
6 or
for you.
something. Yeah.
If you wake up super early, are you able to just jump up and you immediately ready to start working, or do you feel like me and you are awake but your mind's not working for like the first half an hour?
Would you like to know my current morning routine?
Sure.
I wake up. I usually wake up these days at like 8, and then I get up almost immediately. Or like if I check my phone for messages or something like that because I get late night messages from people.
Probably
Who
me.
probably you. And so I check my phone for like 10 minutes, and then I get up, make myself breakfast, and then I sit down to watch an episode of The Big Bang Theory. And then I get up again, make myself a warm drink, coffee or tea, and then I go work. So that's my process. And so that takes about an hour after I wake up, then I start working.
Um, so you don't feel fully awake in the first half an hour.
No, I feel awake. It's just I like doing those things. I mean, there's some mornings where I wake up and then I'll just immediately get out of bed, go brush my teeth, and then put on clothes to go run.
That's so strange. I'm not much of a morning person. I mean, if I'm planning to wake up early, then I'm fine. But a few days ago, I think it was Friday. No, it was this morning. So I woke up at um like 7 a.m., which is early for me, and the reason I woke up is because my take-a-lot delivery guy was phoning me. He was outside, and I literally walked into the glass door, and and then I walked outside without a mask. But luckily, he just put it on the wall, and I didn't make contact with him at all. Um, my mother gave me a whole lecture about that. The other thing going on in my life is I'm contemplating getting Tinder Gold. Imagine how sad my romantic
Wow.
life is that I'm considering Tinder Gold. Um,
Dude, how much isn't Tinder Go like expensive?
you see, the thing is, if I sign up for a 6-month subscription, it's 60 Rand a month, which is not that bad.
You're doing the math.
I'm actually considering it.
Like the way you pulled off that number so quickly.
I checked it this morning. What do you mean? I've been on Tinder all day. I've met some amazing people. Um,
I'm happy for you.
I'm on the Snapchats again with some peeps.
Hmm.
I
Oh, before we move on to our main topics of sorts, I had McDonald's for the first
saw.
time in 4 months.
How was it?
We went to the drive-through.
Yeah.
So let me just explain. I haven't had fast food in 4 months, right? So it's just been home cooked meals for the last 4 months, which is actually I don't think I've ever done that in my life before. Just no eating out of any kind.
Yeah, same.
McDonald's is really salty. I didn't realize it until now, but it's really salty.
Thinking about it, I can see your point. Yeah.
Because I think when I eat out so much, not just McDonald's but other food, you get kind of used to that level of salt intake, right?
Oh
But
yeah.
at home, we don't cook a lot with salt. We don't like the excessive amounts of salt on. And so now I really tasted the salt.
I
That was
suppose
an
that's
interesting
probably their
experience.
way of selling you that extra large Coke or whatever.
Yes, but also I realized salt is addictive because wow, that tasted good.
I know salt is addictive. I am.
Oh, it was so good, mate. I had a big tasty large meal.
Oh, so you enjoyed it then?
Yeah, it was a solid. No, yeah, I enjoyed it. Besides, I'm just saying it was like I could taste how much more salty the fast food is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I did not enjoy it. Like I ate that all up. Like it was great.
Yeah, I showed my mom and I said, "Look, if the med students are doing it, we can do it." And she said, "The med students have better immune systems than we do."
that is true. But I didn't actually get. I went to the drive-through. I didn't
But okay, so the experience,
have
what
my
was that
food.
like? Did they have masks on? Did they look like they were doing the things?
Okay. As a medical professional, or an aspiring one, the use of gloves is dumb. Because they have like people helping and they all wear plastic gloves, but you're just carrying the germs
No,
from
but
one
I'm sure
area
they changed the
to
gloves.
another. No, no,
And I'm pretty sure they had to wear
no.
gloves in the first place.
Yes, but also like it would be because you're not washing the gloves, right? Let's give an example. You have 10 cars in the drive-thru, right?
Yeah,
And each person has to give you money, or each person has to use a credit card, something like that, right? There's an interaction going on here, right?
100%.
Um, and if you wear gloves, then you are passing the germs from one credit card to another one, you know?
Sure,
You know what I'm saying? But if you didn't wear gloves and instead washed your hands after every person, it'd be better.
I suppose. I
You
suppose.
see what I'm saying? But they're not washing the gloves.
Well, the thing is, oh, okay, I hear you. Okay, yeah.
Okay. So that's
Um,
the one point.
but they should be
But
doing
I ran.
the card tapping instead anyway. Anyway, no, but I
Yeah.
get your point. I get your point.
So yeah. But I wasn't too worried about that. The reason I decided to go to the drive-through is because I run in the area near a couple of fast food places. In other words, I see a lot of my delivery vehicles and all those wonderful delivery services, Uber Eats. And I see how these guys don't social distance, and I see they don't wear any masks or gloves or anything like that.
Yeah,
And I'm like, you're not touching my food.
but they
Um,
don't touch your food. They touch the bag, and the bag is
I,
sealed.
I just feel uncomfortable. Like they just have no social distancing at all. Um, so yeah, I went to the drive-through.
I hear you.
And I feel good right now. No symptoms, so I think we're solid.
We've been doing deliveries since the start of lockdown, and my mother has been going like a crazy person, getting everything out of the packaging and sanitizing as much as she can. And it is possible, it's just the packaging that would get contaminated if in any case. So,
Yeah, we're doing the same thing here. I actually have to buy some stuff online this week, like clothing,
yeah.
and that's gonna be an interesting experience because I have never bought clothing online before. Um,
I
I usually just go into stores, so this is gonna be an interesting experience.
Yeah, we did that. It was interesting because you have to fit it on, and if it doesn't fit, you have to send it back and whatnot. Um,
Yeah,
I shouldn't have money in situations like this because I've purchased two international orders and I'm waiting for them. Um,
what'd you buy?
I bought an adapter for my laptop so I can upgrade the SSD, but that's the one thing. And the other thing is I bought a D
Wait, did
brand skin.
you bought D-Brand?
Yeah.
Oh, nice,
Yeah, it's carbon
nice.
fiber one. I'm very excited because I want to use my phone
Need to
naked.
buy. I hear you. I need to buy a new USB-C hub again
First world
because I
problems, but
broke
yeah.
my current one. And the I'm looking into options, and the Apple one's 1,800 rand. So I'm still looking into options.
um,
um,
like I think
but
I've
we're gonna
mentioned
move
this to
on.
you before. My brother has the Apple one, and that's the one that doesn't give issues. But is
Yeah, I see. I'm so sick of issues with my USB-C hub. I'm just gonna get the Apple one, I think.
yeah.
But I'm still looking at my options. Um, we're gonna move on to sort of the main topic of this discussion. You want to talk about productivity frameworks or next up whatever first?
Are we not going to do both?
We can do both, but which one do you want to do first?
Productivity frameworks. It's in order.
Okay.
We have
So
three main
have
topics. What did we
we have
do?
we just had so
Okay,
much content.
speed. We're gonna do this.
Speed. Productivity frameworks. So productivity frameworks are basically anything you use to organize your life, or principles you live by that help you become more efficient, or how you organize and stock your life. And so I have a few and Hector has a few, and we're going to list them off one by one. So me one and then him one.
Okay, cool.
And so one productivity framework that I live by is 2 is 1 and 1 is none. That means if you have 2 copies of something, that means you essentially own something. In other words, if you have an image, just one copy of an image, and you lose that copy, you
It's
no longer have
gone.
that image. It's gone. You don't actually have it. But let's say you back your image up to the cloud. Now you've got 2 copies, one in the cloud, one in your phone, which means that if anything happens, you still have access to that file. So that's the idea of 2 is 1. 1 is none. So that's one productivity framework that I
Basically,
live
have a
by.
plan B, I guess.
I have a plan B, I have a backup. Always keep an extra toilet paper roll in the toilet in the bathroom.
100%.
That kind of thing.
I like to plan for time and keep a schedule, a very tight schedule, but know where I can cut time there. So basically, I spoke about in the past the idea of a 10-hour day. Once you do your hygiene and everything else, you're left with like 10 hours to yourself. And one of the things that I use to make effective use of that time is the day before I lay out every single thing I want to get done.
Same.
Yeah. So that's the first thing that I do. That's the most important thing for me.
Okay. The next productivity framework that I use is if it's worth doing, it's worth doing poorly. And my friend Tian actually led me onto this one. And it's the idea that if something is worth doing, even if you do it poorly, it's still worth doing. For example, if you exercise, right? Some days you won't exercise so well, but it's important. It's better to have gone out the door and gone on that crappy run than to not have not gone on the run at all. Because you know the thing you're doing brings you joy. If, for example, if you like to sing but you cannot actually sing at all, um, this sort of framework says sing because it makes you happy. So if it makes you happy, it's worth doing, even if you suck at doing it.
I like that. I like that. Don't hold yourself
So that's
back.
the point of it. Don't hold yourself back. Just do what you love. And some days will be better than other days, and some days will be worse than others. But just make sure you get out and do the things that you enjoy.
Now, even though I believe in planning out your day strategically, I am very prone to procrastination. So this one goes out to my procrastinators. Um, Sleep rather than pull an all-nighter. That's a bit of advice rather than a productivity framework. So if you have an assignment to finish or you have an exam the next day, it's more worth your time to rather sleep than to stay up.
I got by through high school with a 90 plus average, getting 2 hours of sleep before every exam. So I don't know how valid that statement is.
But you're not thriving, so moving on.
My last one is the 2 minute rule. It's not to do with food. It's not like the 5 second
And
rule.
it's not
And
got
it's
to
not
do with
about-
six.
It has nothing to do with noodles either. But the 2 minute rule is basically that if there's a task that needs to be done that will take less than 2 minutes, do it right now. What that means is if there's an email you need to send off, don't procrastinate sending the email off till late in the day if you can do it right now. If you have a household chore, like you need to pack away your laundry, or you need to go sweep an area, or you need to wash up the dishes, if it takes less than 2 minutes, do it right now, because then it's done and dusted. That's the 2 minute rules. Whenever I feel like being lazy and procrastinating really simple tasks, I think of this 2 minute rule. Wow, spit. I think the 2 minute rule, and then I just do something.
I'm not thirsty, but thanks. That relates to the 135 method, and that basically says that you take one priority task that needs to be done no matter what, and that you break it up into 3 doable activities that you could do, and then 5 low effort quick wins. That
I like
just to
that.
get to boost your dopamine. And the other thing I wanted to say is make sure you have your priorities in order always. That's it, really, for me.
I
Don't
think
waste
I've
your
heard the
energy.
135
Yeah.
before, and I'm going to. I forgot about it. Thanks for reminding me. I think I'm actually going to use that.
Wow.
I
I reminded you.
forgot about the 135 method, but it really works. Take us into the next topic.
Discipline. I'm sorry.
Discipline.
Discipline. Oh, PTSD. That's a story for another day. Discipline versus motivation. Grant referred me, or he posted this article on WhatsApp the other day. And it kind of triggered me a bit because the article basically says, that you shouldn't wait for motivation and to do anything or to get something done. You should instead be disciplined so that you get it done without the motivation, because you got to get it done to keep yourself going and to not be left behind. Am I right in paraphrasing?
Yes, that's kind of right. I'm pro discipline. I think motivation is a myth, and there's a movement to explain that motivation is a myth. Motivation is a feeling. It's an emotion. And if you rule by motivation, you rule by emotion, and thus you can't reliably get things done. But if you have discipline, you will always get things you need to get done. And so I'm pro discipline.
Technically, the document says I'm pro motivation, and I kind of am. But the actual thing that I believe in is what we'll conclude this topic with. But I believe that everything you do should be something that you're motivated to do, mostly speaking. Sometimes you do have to push yourself and be disciplined and say, okay, I know you don't feel like doing this, but you got to get this done. But is that not a form of motivation? I mean, you're motivated to get something done because you have to get it done.
Yes. So since we made this topic, I've been reading up about motivation, right?
Yeah.
And discipline and the relationship between the two. And so what I mentioned earlier about motivation being a myth, there's this idea that in order to get the ball rolling, you need motivation, right? So people say to wake up in the morning with motivation in order to like have a fruitful day and get things done. Um, and so my argument is that motivation is not the thing that gets the ball rolling. Discipline is. So if you're disciplined, you'll get the ball rolling. And then what you actually start is this chain reaction where suddenly you feel more confident, you get a bit more motivation, but the motivation is created through your discipline. If that makes sense.
Um,
And which speaks into our conclusion that
that sounds
it's good
like
to have a bit of.
Stockholm syndrome. Anyway.
Okay. But yeah, so basically, I agree, and I've changed my opinion a little bit, and I'm definitely all about the
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 balance.
balance between motivation and discipline.
And you said honestly it's more discipline, and then I said shame, you're wrong. Um,
It is more discipline. Um, it,
ah,
you need to start the ball
I think the
rolling.
balance is dead center. Um,
You need to get the ball rolling. That means the discipline. And if you don't have motivation that day, but you have discipline, you still have
I
productivity.
thrive on my motivation, though, to be honest, because at the end of the day, I know why I'm doing it. And I think the thing that I do is I ask myself, what am I getting out of this? And that's my motivation. And if I'm not
Of
getting anything
course.
out of it, then I don't do it. I don't give a shit what it
But
is.
your use of motivation is a misnomer. Maybe you should be talking about purpose or reason for doing something. And I agree. You should only be putting the discipline in and putting the motivation in and doing things you should enjoy. You know what I mean? If you're not enjoying it and you don't enjoy the process, then get out of there. Don't do it. Um, but if you do enjoy it and you do enjoy the process, sometimes you need discipline to get through like the crappy parts of that process, and the other parts that are easy, motivation will carry you.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you can live without discipline. You definitely need it, but um, motivation still plays an important role. That's why I believe in the balance. Moving on. Now I want you to introduce this topic, because
Okay,
it's been in this on this page for weeks, and it's yours.
there's a song by AJR called "Next Up Forever." You should all go listen to it. It's off their album Neo Theater, which came out last year. Um, but Next Up Forever is a song that speaks about the idea of being next up forever. So what does that mean? That means that the 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 process of growing up, being up and coming, is more exciting, it's accelerating, um, because the minute you hit your peak, then things become difficult. There's questions about will you be able to rise that level of success or fame again? And so, what the song Next Up Forever is saying is that you should enjoy the process and you should always want to be in the state of being next up forever because the anticipation is sometimes more exciting and exhilarating than the actual outcome or reward.
That's kind of like what the journey's the better than the destination, or whatever they say. But you get what I'm saying.
It's like the night before your day off is more exciting than the actual day off.
Ah, sure. Debatable, but sure. Um. So should I? Let me ask you, what do you do when you peak? Then, Galant.
Um, that's the thing. One of my favorite artists, Ed Sheeran, who you don't like, he actually spoke about this.
Probably a
So
great guy.
he probably a great guy, but he was speaking about when he was making his second album, he was talking about how some artists peak with their first album, right? And then the second album's a dud, and then they have decreased success and they feel like a failure, even though they're more successful than other people. So when you reach a quote unquote peak, the problem is that there's added pressure and to like get lightning in a bottle again. There's added pressure to be more successful, and ultimately this can create more anxiety, stump the process, make you less original, and then just end up causing you to fail. Um, and if you're next up forever, if you never truly reach that peak and you always work so that you know you have something left in the tank, you'll never ever burn out and you'll never like feel that added pressure.
So would you say that if you're about to reach your ultimate goal, you should just keep setting new goals so that you never reach an end goal.
That's the idea. Um, like I always think of scientists that want to win a Nobel Prize or people that want to get a certain job. What do you do when you get that job? What do you do when you get that award? What happens when you win one Grammy? You know, when you win your first Grammy, people care more. But when you win your second Grammy, your second Oscar, it's like, oh, yeah, whatever. The Meryl Streep won another Oscar. Wow. No one cares.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's so and I think this idea of next up forever, can be seen everywhere. Think of Apple or any other software manufacturer or hardware manufacturer like Google, Intel, Windows, Microsoft. They always save their features for later, right? Because they never want to build that perfect, complete, holistic product.
Yeah,
Because
especially
then what's the
Apple.
point? Especially Apple. There's always a feature they let out. Apple, whether it be USB-C, whether it be wireless charging for the longest time, they always leave out that one feature. I mean, it took around 5 years for the Apple Watch to get an always on display, and they always leave out one feature. You know what I mean? Or make things purposefully worse, just so that they have that idea of next up forever, and that you never peak.
Um, well, the argument recently has been that the Apple Watch, for example, has peaked, and that the smartphone market has peaked. So what
And that's
happens
the
when you
fear.
peak?
That's the thing. When you peak, it's basically done, and you're forced to push the industry forward, whatever you're working on forward, and that pressure is just not fun on an individual level. I mean, it's great. Having that extra pressure is great for creativity and pushing the envelope, but on the individual level, as a person, the experience isn't as fun, as when you were creating this for the first time
Yeah.
and there were no rules.
So if you're wondering why this podcast sucks, it's intentional. Because,
Yeah, 100%.
we can't throw you with perfection right away. That would be boring.
Exactly. We can make a perfect podcast that's funny and educational and interesting. But why would you do that? You know what I mean?
Why?
We're only like 12 episodes in. Why would we do that?
See you at Epi 100.
At 100, we'll give you guys that perfect episode you're looking for. But for now, it will suck. Unless you think it doesn't suck, in which case you're right.
You are.
Because this is amazing content.
Don't forget that there is a rating box below, and with that, thank you very much for listening.
Go check out the Instagram, guys. It's at 2Matt Stuck in Conversation.
And you can also go check out our previous episodes. Last week was racism. We had our first guests. And if you're wondering what qualifies us to talk about these topics, the open link, you can search for 2Matt Stuck in Conversation. You'll see we have a qualification in Stuck It Up your ass. Can't speak English.
Wow, stop offending our audience. I think that's problem number one.
You see, I deliberately did that because I don't want to reach my peak. Tell your friends about this grade A bullshit. This has been 2Matt's Stuck in Conversation. Good night.
Good night, people.